In this Web Design Studio tutorial, we're going to cover the mask panel, and we're going to remove the background from this image so that we have a skeleton over a transparent background, so that we can use this in another image and superimpose the skeleton on another image. And what we're going to start with then is make sure that we have our layer selected, the layer with the skeleton in it, and I'm going to create a new pixel mask. And we can select the adjustment mask. Now if that's not there, we can always go to the window and make sure that we have masks selected, have a little checkbox there. And we select a mask, just create right here, create a pixel mask. Now the first thing that I'm going to do then with that mask is I'm going to get a color range, and I'm going to mask out a certain color range. Now if I click on this image, you can see how it kind of creates, as I scroll up and down, it creates a mask based on whatever color I have selected. Now if I hold the shift key down, it combines them as I scroll up and down. So I hold the shift key down and it gets me all of that extra stuff that I don't want, and I'm left with just the skeleton there, a little bit of his head, and some other things that maybe we don't, there might be some things in there that we don't want. Now that's where this fuzziness comes in. Now this, you can see if I put it all the way back, I can see little parts. I'm going to hold the shift key down and continue adding to get rid of all of these extra little pixels so that I don't have anything in my picture that I don't want. I can get rid of all of these extra pixels. And now I got a lot of jaggy there. It's not exactly a smooth picture. I'm going to make a little bit of fuzziness and start moving it over just a little bit so that I can get some of that extra edge. Now you notice that it starts creeping in. You can see the farther I go, the more it starts actually taking, getting some of that picture in there. I really don't want anything but the skeleton, so I'm going to bring it over here until I just start getting a little bit of it in there. And we can always take some of that back out. That's about where I want it, right about there. Now, another feature that we're going to use right now is the invert, because I basically selected the background, but I don't want to select the background. I want to eliminate the background. So I'm going to invert the mask. Now all I have is my skeleton. And you see he still has some little jaggy edges, and he's missing a little bit of his head up here. We're going to have to fix that too. We'll show you how. I'm going to feather this out just a little bit, just 1 pixel. And by feathering it just 1 pixel, you can see how it gets really fuzzy. That's too much. I really don't want that much. So what I'm going to use is the mask edge feature. So when I bring this in, the mask edge, I can smooth this out and smooth my edges. Now you notice how much it smooths those edges. It kind of does a lot like the pixel. With this particular tool, I don't want to go too far. And it'll depend on the resolution of your photograph. I'm working with a real small resolution, so I'm only going to go about 2 pixels here, because I'm working with about a 72 dpi image, and that's not very much. There's not a whole lot of pixels per inch, so I'm only going to go 2 pixels. And my feather, I'm going to go 2/10 of a pixel on my feather. The contrast will actually harden up the edges again, and I don't really need that. So I'm going to bring that back down to 0 and click OK. And now you see all of those white jaggies, they're all gone. I can do a Control Z to see what it was and what it is. There's the way that it was, and there's the way that it is now. The only caveat is that I got a little bit of white in back into here, so it doesn't look as see-through in that area. I think it looks pretty good like it is. The next thing to do is to modify that mask just a little bit, because we have to paint back in that head. We lost his head, part of it. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I have a white background selected. We can click right here and it'll give us a white foreground, black background. I want a white foreground because I'm going to paint a white mask onto this picture right there. And we'll get that head back. Now it looks about like it ought to. Now I'm going to do exactly the opposite down here where the feet are. There's a little bit of fuzzy from the shadow. I don't need the shadow, so I'm going to take some of that out. Now you may need to go in and adjust your brush size and the hardness of the brush. This is whether or not it has a hard edge or a soft edge. I'm going to bring it so that it's got a pretty hard edge, not 100%, but pretty hard edge. And then I can take this shadow out from underneath the foot, and I can take the shadow over here that's on the ground. And then we have nothing but the skeleton there with a nice head. It looks pretty good. And we can remove the background and we can see what it looks like over a white background, and there you have it. You got a nice little skeleton that you can work with and go maybe do a puppet warp on him and you know, move his head around and do some cool little things like that. Okay? Hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope this was useful for you.